G'day guys. Well, had a detector go out and turn into a boomerang. And the reason is that earthing problem. It was, for some reason, it wasn't knocking out hot rocks like it should have. And it was quite interesting when I had a look at it. I've got on the bench here anyway. It's a 5000, and the fellow who had it sent it down and said, look, it was basically low noise front end, no variable gain or anything. But he rang up and he said, oh, it's doing this and that. And I said, oh, mate, you need the variable gain put in it for sure, where he's working. So, Russell, that's your detector. And yeah, it's an interesting fault. I'm going to better point this out, but it comes back to front panel grounding again. The plate on the front panel, rather than grab this and turn it around, it's got a metallized plate here, and when it goes onto the detector, it's all painted along here, and it had a little bit of the paint taken off there, right? And you look at it and you go, oh, that'll be ample, that'll be fine. But when I had a good look at it, because normally you just get in there and you don't go over it, like you don't go to the doctors, with a sore leg and next minute he's checking in your ears and everything else. It's the same sort of thing. But I give the detectors a good going over for something obvious. But on this one, um, I really have to show you this. So let's pull it apart. I don't like pulling the mylar connectors in and out all the time because they're so fine that it can break the copper. It's only, God, a couple of microns thick. But anyway, I'm going to show you this and what actually happened. Where are we? Down here somewhere. If you actually look at some of the metal work, it's worse on the back than this. That it's corroded. It's all corroded and turned to bauxite. Aluminium or aluminum, whatever you want to call it, when it gets water in it, turns back into bauxite, becomes non-conductive. And this is what's happened on the connections where it goes to the metal on the box. It's not connecting. And this is the whole plate I'm talking about. This whole plate becomes reactive. It acts as a big antenna, and it's picking up the pulses from the coil and everything, and the plate's actually going whop, whop, whop. And because I've got the wiring for the pot in there as well now, that this plate starts generating a varying field of interference, and it just starts affecting everything. And with high gain, it causes feedback loops and all sorts. So anyway, I've got to take care of that. If you have a look at the back of this one, where it was grounded, it's got it's corroded there, and on some of these pieces here, if I actually hold this up, you can see. I think it's have I cleaned it off? It's actually started on the back part there. Look, this has just got the typical scrape from the factory, but up here it's all started corroding along here. So the aluminium's corroded. So maybe that's corroded as well. When you scrape these off to make a connection, you want to rub something like silicon grease on it to stop the oxygen in the air getting to the alloy and turning it back into bauxite. Because if you actually get alloy and scrape it and leave it for a while, it builds up a oxide layer. It doesn't conduct very well. It can also be noisy. So silicon sprays or a dab of silicon grease, or even, dare I say it, graphite water-based paint that dries really quickly, we'll make a good connection over it and protect it too, as long as it is allowed to dry. So that's Russell, that's your detector. But I've given it a treatment for you. I can give you a quick demo And I'll just show you the extended range I've done on the gain and frequency. I've got to point a few things out. Is everyone's asking for instruction? Well, I do. We make printed instructions, but I think a lot of people want to show and tell on how to use the mods. So show and tell. First of all, connect your coil. Oh God. Okay, I'm using the double D coil here because it's going to be noisy because I've put a stack of gain in this, but a stack of gain reduction. Normally you'd have this much sort of gain. This has that much, and also frequency wise too. It goes really low, goes really high. Now, the way I've rescaled it, you've got to remember this, that normally factory frequency, the way they come out the factory, where they're set, around about 35 or 36 microseconds, because I'm not going to go and say the microseconds or the frequency of every pulse. That's ridiculous. But if we look at the three short pulses, or shortish pulses, that are transmitted by the detector in normal timings, okay, 35, 36 microseconds. That's how long they are. The car's going back and forth. I'm expecting a delivery from FedEx, actually, and don't want to miss it. It's full of good stuff from Mouser. So, yeah, so we measure that. And on the detector now, that standard timing, which is standard for every other range too, no matter, all the pulses change, but they're factory standard, is frequency set at 100, okay? So you get your frequency at 100. It's basically stock standard. You go down in frequency with the lower numbers. You go up in frequency with the higher numbers. So, and it does go quite a long way. You're getting under 30 microseconds at the top, and you got to change a lot of stuff to make it work. So it does work really, really well. And this one now has variable gain stuck on it. So where your normal gain, well, if I work it out for you, normal gain, say on a 5000 is about 30 dB, and 4500, the older models, 33 or 33.6 to be exact. So there you go. You got 3 dB gain difference between those two editions of detector. You think 3 dB doesn't make much difference? Doesn't sound very big, does it? It does. Makes a difference on bigger targets at depth. The only reason, and this is to the best of my, well, we'll just call it my opinion. The only reason that the gain was dropped in the 5000 from the front end gain is just to make things a little bit more cozy using fine gold. That's the only thing I can find through my own personal observations. So that is what I found. You can crank the gain up on the other modes, especially normal mode, but the other modes will suffer. You'll desense them. So you've got to find a balance. But I've done things that are a bit different, and now we can crank the living bejesus out of it. So to show you, I better plug this back in, the front part of it. The reason why I put such a gain range in there is because I have so much requests from people who want to do detecting on Kalgoorlie hot rock ground. We have people who want to detect on all sorts of different types of ground. Some want to detect on sand over, mineralized ground, and direct on mineralized ground, non-mineralized ground. And the other one that keeps popping up is people going back into the salt lakes. And I better tell you about the salt lakes, because I was going to tell you the other day, but I thought, oh God, it'd be cramming too much into one video. But I'm going to tell you about the salt lakes. Not where the salt lakes are, because, well, you probably know. Most of the salt lakes are in WA. But not specific salt lakes. everyone's gone over the salt lakes, dumbed down detectors, all sorts of funny things using cancel mode, coils, uh, everything you can ever think of, and trying to get nuggets. Put your detector in salt mode, put a double D on it, and pray to God that you're going to get some depth out of it. But salt is a bugger of a thing to detect on. And you got to be careful in those salt lakes too. You keep dipping your hands in there, it starts taking your skin off. So people have told me that. I had a fellow tell me that the other day, and I remember a fellow from New South Wales used to go there all the time over the WA, and telling me that it was really good for his hands. He'd get dermatitis from working bare hands in the salt lake. So it might be a good idea to wear gloves. Just rubber gloves you use in for dishwashing and stuff like that. Just cheap rubber gloves. Don't wear them out and then leave them there, as some people do stuff like that. Lovely people rubbishing the goldfields. I absolutely despise that. There's a lot of it. Even happens here, happens local. People go and, dump their rubbish. Anyway, I'm getting off course. So this detector, okay, let's fire it up and I'll give you a bit of a demo on the gain. Well, it's just on 35 microseconds. I'm going to set it up as sensitive as a standard GPX 5000. I know exactly where to set it because I've done it about a few hundred times, if not more. Anyway, we'll turn this thing on. Let's just check all the settings. I don't want it there. I had it flat out. So let's put it in. It's in normal timings. It's in cancel. It's in tracking. We don't need tracking. But I've already checked hot rock response on all the hot rocks. Tunes them out perfect. So this is working really well. It may get a bit furry because I haven't got the front panel grounded because I haven't got the case on it. Okay, so it may get a bit furry there. And also I've had instances where the transmit field from the coil's been a bit too close to the detector. And what that causes is the transmit gets in as a bit of a delay and causes some sort of funny feedback error and everything goes fuzzy. In real life, it doesn't happen. So if you see that on the oscilloscope, it's just an artifact, it's not real. So we're on, well, basically there you can see it. We're on 35.8 microseconds. I don't know if you can see that, but believe me, that's what it says. And we're measuring on normal timings. I'm just picking it up on a loop near the coil. Okay, 0.05. Now I've set this on its lowest gain setting. This means you could probably, not really, but you could probably detect on corrugated iron. I mean, the worst ground you could ever get, you could probably just detect with this now, and going to work. Won't work on small stuff, especially at normal range. I was going to say low frequency, but comparing it to how high this goes, it's low. But let's have a look then. 0.05. I better throw that around there a bit, or else I won't know what I'm doing. Okay, let's go over it. Oh, absolutely deaf as a post. It's a little bit there. Have a listen. Okay, so if you want to set on the lowest gain settings, you can run around everywhere and you're not going to pick up lead shot. Okay, you can set it so it won't pick up lead shot. Basically, if you find lead shot in an area, what you want to do is you want to adjust probably the frequency and also probably the gain, or a combination of both. You probably want to do both. And what you do is you'll just either back off the frequency or the gain on your sample lead shot that it doesn't respond. Okay, and then see if you can crank the gain up. If it still doesn't respond, great. And then go hunting for gold in that area. It's not going to pick up, probably more than likely, it won't pick up anything smaller than the little tiny lead shot you tuned out. But everything else is going to be a legitimate target and not lead shot. So you can have it set up so you can get different size targets. Say you want to get rid of 0.05s, which will be tiny lead shot, I don't know, number 8 or something or other, and say your gold's all number 4 or something like a 0.1. Well, you go over with a 0.1 now, and it'll probably go, oh, there it is. But like, I'm just on standard minelab type settings, more or less, but very low gain, very low gain. You can't get this low gain in twirling the knob on the back of the detector, the standard setups in there. You won't get it. You've got to control the front end of the detector, the input stage. That's dealing with all the stuff coming in. It's like we've got all this stuff coming in here, and we like to pull it down or make it greater, rather than having here and it's all the same, and then doing it back with the back gain. This stays the same, that goes up and down there, but there's no change. So if you get having trouble handling the ground, it's still going to have trouble handling the ground, except the back control is going to probably disguise it. It will still be doing whatever it's doing to the input stage of the detector. The amplification stays the same. So this changes the amplification of the input stage of the detector, and does it over a range of 40 decibels, 40 dB, which is a huge number, right? If you want to go look up the what multiplication 40 dB is, I won't tell you. You go look it up. So anyway, let's have a look. There's our 0.05. Oh, typical. I'll turn the front end gain up. The rest of the stuff on this is just standard. There's nothing fantastic. I also rescaled the input part of the variable gain so it doesn't howl as much, because if you've got any jitter coming in, you want to squash it out with a fairly decent capacitor. So I've redone that where I can get away with using a better quality capacitor, and I just put a bit of resistance in series, but I've compensated for it. So it doesn't go wah for a long time. Just like that. That's all it does. That's probably a little bit more than a standard minelab will do on a 0.05 that I've done in the past. Like I say, oh, actually, hang on a second. David's brought more detectors in. I want to see if I've got a 5,000 up there. Hang on. I have. Okay. Excuse me, I just bumped the microphone. Just double checking here. The microphone's on. I couldn't remember if I turned on. Okay. I've got this 5,000's come in, right? But yeah, okay. It's got a problem. I've got to fix it, and then I've got to do the work on it. It's not going to be fair. Hang on a sec. I'm just having a check. No, I can't use that one. Not that one. What's that one there? That's 45, 35, 45. What's that? Oh, God. Okay. I've only got one, and it's got a problem. So I'm not doing that. David might bring some more in. He's gone to the post office. He'll be back. It's about 4:30. He'll probably drop in, and if he drops in, we can then see if we got a standard. I'm not going to use a problem 5,000. It's not fair. So anyway, I know by just listening. That's about standard 5,000. Okay, so on that I use it as a reference. I'm absolutely tuned into it. That's what it picks up like on this coil. That's in normal timings. I'll just stick it into fine gold for you. Fine gold's got more hit on this. put it back into normal. Let's give you an idea how much extra gain you can get before it goes completely crazy. Even though I'm using a double D, these things, because of the winding and the damping and everything inside the coil, it's damped on because of fixed resistor on the receive coil. It's made out of finer wire. There's more turns of it. You can't get a perfect symmetrical reduction in noise. It just doesn't work. It works to a degree until you get too high up in the gain and it just gets noisy. Out in the field, it's not going to do it unless you got tons of EMI and whatever else. But anyway, let's crank this up. So it's just starting to get a little bit noisy, but 0.05. We can get it off the coil, but we're picking up noise. I don't even know if I'm on a harmonic or something of 50 hertz, probably. I don't know. It doesn't help having this thing not in its box either. So he's in cancel, but someone's just touching it on the back to the front quietens it down. Yeah, quietens it down. Just 50 hertz getting into everything. It's really not a good test doing it in the workshop for this. But give you an idea, we get tons of gain, tons. Just remember, you're not going to pick that noise up out in the field. Okay, that's flat out normal mode. It'd be way up here somewhere, but we're getting smashed by all the electrical interference. But that's the gain range you've got, really, really low to really, really high. And the funny thing was, it was just on normal timings, like as in I haven't even cranked anything up whatsoever. It's just acting like a standard detector. Now, have a look now, right? We're not even getting that now. And I'm going to add in the variable frequency component. So let's go crank this thing up, if I can see what I'm doing. Okay, we're on 100. You'll see the oscilloscope there. Everything start walking across. And all those pulses will get shorter as we're moving the frequency. Normally, if you do that, that will move from one end of the scale to the other about that much. That's it. That from on a normal detector, from 0 to 255 will move about that. That's it. About 3 notches. That's all. That's the whole range. So this thing, it's going for a run around the paddock. It absolutely is a massive change, massive. Anyway, so all I've done now on low, it's on low gain still. And I've just cranked the frequency up. I'm just on normal mode. We can just hear that. Give it some gain. Just a little bit. Probably about, I don't know, 15%. Oh, I think I've got a parcel. Hang on a sec. Told you FedEx is coming. Aha. Yep. Thanks, mate. He called me boss. Okay. Oh, there. One parcel from Mouser. Very, very good. There's some real good goodies in here, so I'll get into that later on. Oh, what do? You do a separate video and do an unboxing? No. Okay, let's crank the gain up again a bit more. Okay. Now you got to remember, I'm just in normal timings. Nice and clear. Hopefully I'm not on interference. Up we go, more. That's a massive amount of gain compared to, or should I say, massive amount of signal from such a small target. Let's keep going. I'm getting up near the top end now somewhere. You can hear it's in the noise though. That's flat out. Should put it in its box, but like I say, that's high frequency, 0.05. We'll try the 0.1. Will it ground balance? Of course it will. Okay, into tracking, bit of iron on it. Well, even though it's in the noise, I tracked it out. So that's a bit of magic for you. Running that much gain and be able to track that out is huge. Yeah, so it's better on lower gain in the workshop, but we're really pushing the limits of what we can do in the workshop. I mean, I could get my really nice balanced coil out, and we could do that and be quiet. And but see, no one's running a balanced coil the way I've made it, so it's pretty silly doing a demo with it when no one else has one. So that's what it is. What we can do now, let's stick it into fine gold. It's low gain. Well, just on low gain in fine gold. I mean, you can hear the target, easy as, but take it up to about wherever that is. Even if that, you can, little 0.05, you can overload it, like push it some more. The noise is going to kill it, make it really difficult, but if we say I'll use a 0.1 as more of a decent target to cut through the noise. Okay, let's go flat out on it. That's full gain. Too much noise. You can't make, you won't be able to make sense of that at all. But fine gold, hot rocks. It's just a noise, but worst Kalgoorlie hot rock, gone, eaten for lunch, at high frequency and near full gain. Like, I'm about probably 8 out of 10 when I did that test. I don't want to run at full gain. It will run full gain. Away from suburbia, it's powerful as it really is. And, you know, I'm itching to try it against a something with a 6 in the name, just to see if it will do a better job and be quieter than that. But yeah, where that other one has a little bit of advantage, I'd say, in its variations, what it can do, but you can do that manually. The thing is, you know, I know what people say, and I know how they mean it and everything, but let's go look at it logically. All right, logic and an opinion-based logic. Okay, well, the ground's doing this and the ground's doing that. Well, do you think that as you're walking over the ground, it's going to change by how much percent mineral content over a given area? I don't know. It depends where you are, of course. If you got something like an old river's gone through there or something, and then it's all filled up and with you know, later, you know, whatever, and then you got a hard packed ground around it. Yeah, it's going to be a difference, but you can actually tune that yourself. So, you know, does it make a big difference? I'd say no, because you've already got automatic ground tracking, right? That is the main criteria. You don't want your ground tracking to go out. So if you've got your gain set where it's reasonable for where you're working, see, the thing is, if you crank it right up, all you're going to do is, you know, it's like fat tires in the wet, you know, trying to do a run down the speedway. It's going to spin the wheels. You're not getting anywhere. Even though you got all that power, it's not going to get any traction. You want to back things off a little bit so you're not putting up with this, you know, brain deadening, you know, noise from your detector. Tell you, we've done experiments. I've got videos on it. We did a whole heap of stuff on it that, you know, your ears are just hearing like this all day long. You're not going to, your brain, not you even thinking, your brain will just tune out. It'll go, I don't want to put up with that. I'm not paying any attention to what's coming in here. I'm going to refuse to pay attention to that, because that's what happens. And, you know, I'll try and give you an idea of how that works. Have you ever, and it depends on the situation, have you ever been watching something on TV or something of that nature, or, you know, watching something or listening to something, and you turn it on, and then you'll have background noise, whatever, someone in the kitchen clunking plates together, kids making noise, playing toys. When you first get in there and start watching and listening what you're doing, you'll probably, you know, yell out something like, you know, shut up, right? You'll go off because you're sort of, it's all fresh coming at you and you want to watch the TV. Watch the TV for a while, right? And then once you're really into it, you're concentrating on that, you can have people having a conversation over here, and I'll tell you what, you won't even hear it. You'll know what's going on. It's not going to distract too much from the TV because you're just focused on it. And basically, the chatter over here could be a change in threshold. You got to ignore it. It's just the way it is. So constant droning, variable frequency, variable pitch, variable amplitude, whatever you want to call it, all this together in your ears will deaden your response to those sounds. So be aware. I've said it many a times. I've been out with people. I used to do a bit of, what they call training, showing people how to use detectors. I used to go out and show people how to use their detectors, a long time ago when I had a lot more spare time, and I used to go out prospecting more, and I'd say, okay, away you go, and I'll just walk beside holding the pick, and so they can concentrate on what they're doing, and I would just be listening, because we always use speaker, even though it's probably better to use headphones, especially our headphones that we made. But yeah, that's going around word of mouth. I don't even have to advertise it, going out the door like I don't know what. But that's why I'm not pushing them, because they sell themselves. So we used to listen to everybody, walking around. And I'll tell you what I noticed. You'd be walking along and you'd be trying to tune into what they're listening to, right? Just sort of listening along. And they go along and you hear the detector go, they keep walking. And you go, huh? I said, stop. Didn't you hear that? No. You went over a target. What? Yeah, back there. 5 steps back, there's a target. I heard it. Oh, really? Oh, amazing. Walk backwards. Oh, there's a target there. Yeah, not listening. And it's very common. And the worst thing is, if this is so true, but men hate me saying this, but women are better detectorists than men, because women, for some reason, have this ability to multitask. They could be doing something, baking a cake even, or whatever, welding, there you go, on the telephone at the same time, right? Not a problem. You get a guy to do that, right? Or I'll prove it to you, right? This is really easy to do. Talk to someone on a phone, right? And read a newspaper online at the same time, right? Then, after you get off the phone, have someone ask you, what was the news about? And you'll go, I don't know, because you won't retain the information. Either that, or in my case, I'll be reading it, taking it all in, and I'll have no idea what this person's saying. It's just going blah, 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 blah. It might as well just be saying rhubarb, rhubarb, rhubarb over and over. I'll have no idea what the conversation was, but I'll retain all the information that I read. Guys can't multiplex like women, right? They just don't do it. We're not built that way. Maybe there's a gender issue there that some people might be able to. I don't want to go there though. But it's damn true. I would say that most women could possibly read the news and have a conversation, finish the conversation, which was completely logical and went perfectly, and you ask them what the news was, and they'll tell you all about it. It's really weird. But I'll tell you one thing I know, and this is true as well. If you get a guy, a man, right, and say, do this, and put him in a box where there's no external influences, right, at all, he'll do a better job, right? It's true. This is life experience talking. He'll do a better job, for sure. And I always found that too. If I'm working on someone's detector, this is why I don't take phone calls. If I'm working on someone's detector, right, and I have to listen to the conversation, and it's important, right, I'll guarantee you, right, that if I did a few detectors, I will put connections in the wrong place because I'm not thinking about what I'm doing. I'm concentrating on the phone call. It's dead true. Uh, there's many a time where, not many a time, but there's been occasions, right? Maybe 2 in 100 or something of that nature, that I've turned the detector on and I go, what's that smell? And it's taken out one of the little miniature voltage regulators because I've put the positive on the negative and the negative on the positive on the circuit board. And that's because total distraction. That's why I just refuse. Now, you can't talk to me during the day. Try and ring me up when I'm working on stuff. You can't do it. You can talk to David. Because, yeah, he's doing other things. But when you're working and doing electronic, you can't do it. It's impossible. You're going to get into all sorts of strife. Anyway, apart from that, this was about that. I got sidetracked. Damn. So guys, yeah, this isn't a super U-Butte. Everything's done to it because it would be expensive to do that, but it works a hell of a lot better than your standard steak, potatoes, and peas. You might get a bit of caviar on the side with this or something. I don't know, but it does work really, really well. Tons of gain. Gain is interesting because if you get more gain, you can get more signal as long as you get rid of the noise. But a lot of people, I've heard them out in the field with some newer detectors, and yeah, I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't know, they just crank them up too far, or it's the nature of the beast, or what it is. But I was going, oh my God, how do you actually detect? But the sensitivity, what they're relying on, this is what I found for a lot of people who get detectors. They go detecting. They're not listening for that rise in threshold or a little rise in amplitude. They're listening for that noise when it sort of peaky overloads the coil, and they can't detect like that. I mean, you're just going to pick up a lot of stuff on the surface, and you're relying on so much amplification to give you that response. It's mind blowing. There's a fellow local, and yeah, he the poor guy too's got an intermittent in the detector. Believe it or not, it works, and then suddenly it goes haywire and it starts working. I've got to find that for him. But he went over areas, standard detector. I think might be a 5, and cleaned it out. Right. Then he got the low noise front end. He's got the low noise front end in the detector. Okay. And he sent me pictures of all the extra. I might have sent David all the pictures of all the extra gold he got from those areas. I think he might have left comments on our DetectorMods Facebook page, and maybe the pictures are there too. He put them up there, not us. So yeah, he was doing really well, but yeah, the detector's got some little intermittent in it. I'm not sure what the story is. I will find out. You know what it could be? It could be not earthed, right? Something like that. Maybe it is causing something to make the detector go crazy. But whatever it is, it all can be fixed up. We get that occasionally. I could do 50 detectors in a row, never have a problem. Then the next 2 or 3, there'll be problems. And it's just the nature of the game. You just can't have a 100% run on this game. Occasionally, things are going to crop up. Things will be missed. The worst one is temperature faults. It'll be whatever, say it's 20 degrees Celsius here or something, like 70 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever it may be. And someone gets their detector back and goes out in the Mojave Desert, and the detector starts playing up. Well, I didn't test it at 110 degrees or something like that. I just didn't do that. 110 Fahrenheit or something, or 50 degrees Celsius, because the ambient temperature is not that. So that's, some of the stuff that can happen. I mean, you look for everything, and sometimes you get these weird ones. And I always say to people, if you do have a problem with your detector, put great detail in a note, exactly what you were doing, the whole circumstances, the day, the temperature, was it raining, right? Humidity, everything. And, it helps trying to locate exactly what the problem is. If you say, oh, well, I was out detecting and suddenly the sun come out, I had the detector in the sun and it got warm and then it went crazy, good. Well, then I'm going to hit it with hot air blowgun, maybe 30, 40, 50 degrees, whatever it may be, and see if I can reproduce that fault, and then with a finer nozzle, track it down to what's getting hot and what's falling over, and put a new one in there. It's that simple. But yeah, you can't just have a continuous 100% hit ratio, keeping everyone happy run on this stuff. It's just impossible, because we're dealing with detectors that are old, and obviously some of them are pretty ancient, but they're damn good. They really are good. The technology is absolutely, nothing wrong with it. All the way it's designed, the way it works, but it can be improved because it's old. It's like putting grandma on steroids. Look like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his heyday. Not now, but oh dear me. But it's like that. You can get anything. Like, you can get an old car and do it up, and yeah, go and put a whatever in there. Turbos and superchargers, whatever. Do all this sort of stuff. It'll go better. It'll go harder. So same with all the old detectors. There's nothing wrong with them. Like, even I had a guy, like I said, the fellow was asking me about salt lakes and that, and I said, well, you know what the best detector for a salt lake is? And he goes, no. I said, well, now it's going to be a run. People are doing, all of a sudden, everyone's on the salt lakes, because even though the gold in the salt lakes looks very clean and crystalline, it's probably actually formed out of dissolved gold in that salt brine, and maybe it fills up with fresh water, or I don't know, something changes, and it all starts joining together. It actually forms crystalline gold, which is worth a lot more to collectors than normal gold. So it's really worthwhile finding. But what the people are discovering now, they've never been able to get any depth in the salt lakes. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, salt lakes are mushy, briny thing. How deep is the bottom? And what's on the bottom of a salt lake? Is it lots of small gold, or is it bigger lumps over 500,000 years that all joined together and gone bloop, bloop, bloop down to the bottom? So everyone's looking for these. Now they want bigger gold in salt lakes. Now, sorry, WA people, I've just wrecked your salt lakes. All the damn Victorians are going to go over there and raid your salt lakes. But yeah, what do you call them over there? You call us Victorians. What's the word you used? Some word you called Victorians, like blowflies or something. But not that bad. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's good to go to WA on the goldfields with Victorian plates on your car. Go and change them. Oh, dear me. I just heard so many stories, and a lot of them, I won't repeat them, because some of them will probably identify people. But, you know, Victorians are renowned for jumping on everyone's claims over there, just willy-nilly detecting on leases, all sorts of stuff. And, digging holes, not filling them, that's very common, so I've been told, and dumping their rubbish out there in the goldfields, where the local people have to clean it up. You make yourself very, very unwelcome. So Victorian prospectors, any of you who do this stuff, lift your game, because you're just making it really difficult for everybody who wants to go over there. You're getting a really bad name. Like I say, I do hear all this sort of stuff. So, and maybe the WAs come here and do the same thing. I don't know. Um, you know, I've heard. I talk to people when I'm not doing detectors, or like up in Queensland, WA, all over the place actually, Northern Territory, US, and it's the same story. People come in, the blow-ins. That's right. They come in and because it's not their backyard, they trash the joint and leave. I mean, it's just disrespectful, and it's not good, not good at all. So no, this is just a community service announcement. Don't leave holes, and damn well take your rubbish with you. Put it in a bag. Don't just leave it out there in big piles for the people who live there to find it. It's just gross. Don't do that stuff. But I know what gold fever does to people. Oh, I found a nugget. Next one. And it's blinkers on, gold, 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 and the rest of the universe doesn't exist, and just yeah. I won't fill the hole in. That's gonna take an extra 30 seconds, and over a day that might end up to being 15 minutes lost detecting time. Oh God. It is true though that I see it here as well, even locally. It's not detectors dumping rubbish, but just the local population don't like the rubbish collection fees, or the transfer station. I used to call it the tip. We all called it the tip because we used to tip stuff out there, but they don't like the fees, so they just go and dump it in state parks and reserves and stuff. And when I see it, I'll tell you what I do when I see it. I have a quick look and see if there's anything identifying in it, right? Because that's sometimes they do. I had dumps of rubbish with bills in it. They've got their name on it. I feel like, yeah, that's where they live. I feel like going putting it back on the damn doorstep. But then again, they might have, had a rental. They've moved. There's new people in there, right? And you go and dump their rubbish on their doorstep, and they weren't to blame. But what I do, if I find rubbish out there now, I take photos of it and I send it to the council. I do that. So the council come and clean it up, which is a good thing, because otherwise, when you put a little bit there, everyone gets the idea to dump more. Oh, it must be all right to dump rubbish here. We're all going to do it. Now I get the council onto it straight away, and they send a truck around with a crew, and they clean it up. So I suppose it's my rates doing something useful. Yeah, I'm really, really, on top of that. So guys, all of you, if you see stuff like that, take photographic evidence and send it to the council for the area, and just make it known that it really stands out if the whole area is pristine, right? And you see some car go in there, and then you notice that car went in there, and then next day there's a big pile of rubbish. Um, you know, who put it there. Don't just allow people to dump rubbish everywhere, because you won't know if it was there or not, or did they do it or did they not. And where they were dumping rubbish where I go, I was going to put a trail cam there actually. I was going to put it up in the tree and put it in the area they dump, and actually catch them in the act, and do something about it. So I still might do that. Trail cams are pretty cheap now, so you can hide it pretty well. Yeah, but yeah, it's just one of my pet hates. People dumping crap in the bush and not filling holes. I'm probably guilty of it as well in the early days. Dig holes, never thought anything of it. That's why Denali's got holes everywhere. That's where I used to go mainly back in the 80s. But now, no, back of the blade on the pick, just push. Whoops. That was a hot rock. Nearly sent the coil flying as connected to the detector. That wouldn't have been good. So, yeah, that's that, guys. I know it's a bit of a waffle, but, why not? started off on detectors, ended up on rubbish being dumped in the bush. Gee, but imagine if I made a video for every subject. I wouldn't have 200 videos. I'd probably have 2,000. So, that's probably a good thing. Apart from that, I'll put the covers back on that, and David hasn't turned up yet, so maybe this is working really well, by the way. So I'll put the covers on. Hopefully I get it back up to Queensland, to Russell, your detector. So all good. Yeah, it's past working hours now, so I'm sort of that's why I'm making the video. Been slaving all day. Nothing else to say. Nothing else to say just yet. Okay, guys, catch us later.